YouTube, what's up? And today we're going to do a quick little kit review over some East German military surplus. We're going to start off with the actual kit itself. This is a belt-based kit. At least East German stuff is a belt-based kit, so this allows some amount of compatibility with like more common American stuff like Alice pouches and whatnot, which is what I'm currently kind of using this for because I don't have an AK, so kind of have to just run a M4 with it for now. But if you do have an AK, it is compatible with that platform easily, since how we are talking about our food-deprived brethren across the Iron Curtain, or at least what it used to be. And it does have AK pouches that you can put on there. These hold 4, and it's actually nice and compartmentalized in there. Not sure if you can see that, but you can kind of see a little divider right here. And then it has also got 2 more smaller dividers in between that right there. But it holds 4 magazines, like I said. Pretty good. Nice and compartmentalized, so it keeps them all nice and quiet while you're moving around. And for the rest of it, it's actually all pretty relatively simple. Just a belt-based kit. These are the suspenders. The way it attaches to the belt itself is actually pretty unique, and I like it. It's a nice little kind of a hook and loop, I guess you could say. But it pretty much just, you have this little piece right here, just loops around the belt and then stays in position like so. So it fits literally any size of belt. You can take the suspenders themselves and actually just pair them with just about anything. But I like it. It's pretty neat. I think it's actually a really good idea. And it especially helps out with being nice and light. Anyway, this all came from Americana Pipe Dream, with the exception of the Strictarn jacket or tunic, whichever one you want to call it. Just depends on what country you're from, I guess. But I'm an American, so I'm going to call it a jacket. But anyway, the belt and rucksack suspenders, they all came from Americana Pipe Dream. The Alice pouches, I've gotten those from various places over the last few years, and I can't remember where I've gotten all of them from. Some of them came from flea markets, a couple others came from military surplus shops, so you can find them literally anywhere. It doesn't really matter. But as far as volume goes, they can hold a decent amount, like a day's worth of supplies in the rucksack. It has kind of like the old school military type of closure. And it's actually kind of interesting because it actually has a double closure, kind of like it's kind of like a container having 2 lids, I guess you could say. But like you have the initial flap on top, and then you open it up, and it's got another one right here. I don't have anything important in here. This is just to see like demonstrate the volume you can get in this. Like literally just for purposes of displaying how much you can put in here. Like I have a volume, not a volume. The heck is a volume? I have a hoodie and then an ammo can that I got. And then like literally nothing else. But yeah, you could fit like a day's worth of supplies in here. Fit probably like you might be able to fit 2 days worth of supplies in here, but hard to say. I wouldn't actually use this for what it should be used for, so it's hard for me to say. But East German military doctrine kind of like emphasized like working in coordination with vehicles and whatnot and motorized elements, so they didn't really need their guys to be able to carry like a whole 2 weeks worth of supplies inside of a bag or like their own personal kit. So like they just had light rucksacks like this, which actually works pretty well. And I will discuss what this can be used for shortly. Anyway, that's the rucksack and suspenders. You can get those in a pair at Americana Pipe Dream, which is what I did. And then you have the belt itself. I've gotten 2 versions of the belt. I'm not sure which one's any better than the other, but the one I have with me right now and that I've ran with this kit so far is the UTV belt. I don't know if it really differentiates from the normal gray combat belt that East Germans would wear. I really don't know how it would. It just differentiates in color pretty much. Kind of matches the Stricktarn a little bit better. That's my opinion. But personally, I like it for securing it around yourself. It's pretty simple. It's just insert and then push it far enough over, and then it's done. It's not like a buckle, so you can actually take it on and off pretty fast once you get used to it. It's not like a buckle fast, but it's nothing complicated. It's actually pretty simple. I like it. And then, of course, like as I mentioned, I have an Alice magazine pouch on here because I have to run it with my M4. But that's kind of all there is. Oh, yeah. And then this isn't the entire kit, of course. This is just the rucksack suspenders and the belt that I'm running. And then I have, of course, a magazine pouch that I would be using if I had an AK. But I don't have an AK, so I'm poor. I'm that kind of poor. But anyway. And then a nice, interesting thing about the rucksack itself is it has these straps that you can put in on the top, middle, and then on the sides. So like there's a spot right here on this side, and then a spot right here on this side, and then there's a spot right here on the top where you can basically just run these through, and it creates basically just a big loop, more or less, so you can basically hold a tarp or like a shelter half, I guess. Depends on what you run, really, but I don't have either at the moment, so I've got a lot of stuff I need to acquire. But then after that, you then have like the jacket itself. I got this at a flea market. I can't remember how much it cost me. I think it cost like, I don't know, maybe like 25 bucks maybe. It wasn't bad for a price, and I figured I might as well take it. And I actually really like the jacket itself. It's pretty utilitarian. It does have shoulder pockets, and then of course it has 4 pockets on the front, which is pretty characteristic of like older militaries. We all used that kind of a jacket at some point, you know. And then more unexplained, it has a loop on the left arm. I don't know why, but I think it's kind of cool. I guess it might be for like, I don't know, maybe a radio antenna or something. That would be my guess, but I don't know. I don't have a radio, so therefore I have no radio antenna. So that's just kind of all there is. The kit itself is relatively cheap. Like, the rucksack and suspender set, Americana Pipe Dream, is currently selling for like 20 bucks. That's like the rucksack and the suspenders. So you get both the pack and the thing that supports it for the whole thing. It's actually pretty cool. And then the UTV belt is $5, maybe $6. Don't quote me on that, but it's like $5 or $6. It's not bad for a price. And then the East German gray combat belt is also going for about the same price. So like you could get either just the gray combat belt or the UTV belt for like relatively the same price. It's pretty cool. And it's relatively cheap as well. If you want to get a good cheap kit that you could use in coordination with other pieces of gear that aren't exactly tailor-made for it, you can definitely do that. It's a really cheap kit, and it's pretty simple. It's just belt-based and some additional webbing. And then things that it would be useful for, it's kind of niche, really. There's not a lot that it could be used for, but there's certainly a use for it. It was specifically designed, what the East Germans had in mind when they designed it at least, was for it to be used with motorized troops, because that was their entire purpose. Like the entire Soviet plan, or like the plan of the entire Warsaw Pact during the Cold War, was if like a war with NATO started, their entire plan was just like bum rush everything in Europe as fast as they possibly could. So like that called for mechanization beyond comprehension, which is why they had so many tanks, or like where Russia produced like, I don't know, 35,000 tank T-72s. So that's kind of part of it. And then it really just called for being highly mobile, being able to move inside of a vehicle and dismount from said vehicle pretty quick. So it's definitely useful for something like that. So like, and of course, you know, as I've said earlier, you're not carrying that much with it, but you are carrying what you need. So like, uses for it, like if a post-apocalyptic, I don't know, like some sort of a collapse in society happens, that like you're having to go out on your property and like make sure nobody's broken, or make sure nobody's there, make sure no one's coming to get you or whatever, just on your own property, and you don't own like a mass amount of land, like probably 25 to 50 acres, maybe 70 acres, I don't know. If you are just patrolling your own piece of land, it would work pretty well for that. Just putting all this on, it's pretty light, you can still move pretty quick, especially if you're using like a vehicle. It's also pretty ideal for that. You're not having to carry like days worth of supplies with you. So it's pretty useful for that. As I said, it's really useful for being motorized, which I'll display to you. You guys really thought I was gonna get on a vehicle and actually, you know, do some sort of a gunplay. No. I might do that in the future, but don't really have enough of a range to do that with, so I kind of have to just work with what I got, and that just so happens to be a cardboard box. So sorry I disappointed you or something, I don't know. Anyway, that's about all I've got. If you're looking for cheap kit, this is definitely a good route. It's pretty useful, especially if you have an AK already. You can just buy, I don't know, if you wanted to put 2 pouches on there, you could, but I'm pretty sure East German troops rather only had 1 pouch on their entire kit. So 4 magazines worth plus 1 in your gun, like 5 times 30, 90, 120. So yeah, you'd get like 150 rounds total. It's not that bad. It's actually pretty, yeah, like I said, it's just useful for like patrolling your own property in a scenario where you have to face a societal collapse and you have to protect yourself or something like that. Especially if you're basing yourself off of some sort of a vehicle, like a motorcycle or 4-wheeler, ATV, something like that, where you're just driving around on your property making sure all is well. That's kind of like almost what this is exactly designed for, pretty much. It was meant for mechanized warfare, basically. But yeah, other than that, that's kind of what the intended purpose is. Or if you have an AK and you're wanting to run some sort of a kit that you don't see every day, like just kind of deviate away from the normal Chi-Com Type 56 chest rigs or Type 81 chest rigs, and you want something new, yeah, this is definitely a good way to go. It's a belt-based kit, so you can use all sorts of stuff with it, like Alice pouches, canteen pouches, mag pouches, whatever. And of course, it's relatively cheap, so you're not losing a lot of money with it. It's a good way to start off. As for the tunic, or the jacket, if you want to call it that, yeah, if you see one and it's not a bad price, I'd definitely recommend picking it up. It's pretty utilitarian, and just walking around, it's pretty warm. It's not terribly thick, so it's not really limiting a lot of your own mobility, but overall, I like it. I'm not sure how effective the camouflage is, since how it is strict tarn and it's designed more for like a specific area in Europe. I'll have to test that out on my own, but I would say that like fall, it would probably be a good time to use this camo, or maybe, I don't know, early spring. But I'll test that out and probably put a short up on that later whenever the weather clears up a little bit around here. But other than that, thank you for watching. If you like the video, like and subscribe as per usual. If you have an opinion or if you have something I actually don't know and kind of want to know, leave a comment. Other than that, that's kind of all I got. Yeah. Catch you guys on the next video.